name is Rachel, and today I want to talk about some new releases coming up. Basically, I just wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about some of my most anticipated spring releases. And for the purposes of this video and on my channel, I consider spring to be March, April, and May. So those are the months we'll be covering today. Obviously, I'm not going to get to all of the books. I'm just going to highlight a few from each month. So let me know down in the comments if you are excited for these books as I am, or if you have one that I don't mention and you want to share so that we're also excited about it. Definitely leave those down below. The only other caveat that I want to share is that book dates are going to change. We have seen this all last year. All these book dates I feel like are just so relative and temporary and fleeting. So keep that in mind. But to the best of my knowledge, these are the accurate book release dates. But nonetheless, let's jump in to the books. So the first one is a debut, and I'm super excited for it. It comes out on March 2nd. It's called The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. And on Goodreads, the little blurb says, a female apothecary secretly dispenses poisons to liberate women from the men who have wronged them, setting 3 lives across centuries on a dangerous collision course. So, sounds interesting. It is a beautiful cover, and it has the word lost in the title. So if you are participating in Books and Lala's Buzzword Readathon Challenge this year, this might be one to keep on your radar because of the word lost in the title. Next up is another debut. I've been seeing this everywhere, so I think this is going to be one of the big thrillers of the year. It's called Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. This is coming out March 2nd, and the little synopsis on Goodreads says, in one of the year's most anticipated debut psychological thrillers, a family made infamous by a true crime documentary is found dead, leaving their surviving son to uncover the truth about their final days. So this sounds really interesting, and once again, the word last is in this one, which is also one of the Buzzword Readathon challenges. So that could work. That could be a good one. Next up is a nonfiction true crime memoir situation. This is also coming out on March 2nd. It's called The Babysitter, My Summers with a Serial Killer by Lisa Rodman and Jennifer Jordan. So the synopsis on Goodreads says, a chilling true story, part memoir, part crime investigation, reminiscent of Anne Rule's classic The Stranger Beside Me, about a little girl longing for love and how she found friendship with her charismatic babysitter who was also a vicious serial killer. So that sounds like a very interesting story. I'm not sure if we will know the name of the serial killer or if it's one of those that just, did all the shady things and just didn't get his name in the news all the time. So I'm super excited to read this one. And I'm planning on using this for the Buzzword Readathon for seasons. I'm going to use the word summer in this title to count for a season. So that's always an option for you as well. Next up, coming out on March 9th, 2021, because I believe this actually has already been released in some other countries, like in England. So our release date is March 9th. This is the first book in a new series that I'm super excited for. The series is called Her Majesty the Queen Investigates. So the first book is called The Windsor Knot. This is by S.J. Bennett. And the little synopsis here on Goodreads says, the first book in a highly original and delightfully clever crime series in which Queen Elizabeth II secretly solves crimes while carrying out her royal duties. And yes, I am here for it. I'm so here for it. There is mention of a second book on Goodreads with a publication date later in 2021, so I'm not sure if that is going to be here in the US. I doubt it. My guess is that that is a release date for across the pond there over in England. So just know though that there is a second book in the works, and yes, I'm so excited for this one. And technically, based on the series name, you could use this for the challenge to read a book with a name or a title in the title. That's ironic. A title in the title. Whatever. You get what I'm saying. Next up, out on March 16th, is the second in a series that I am super excited for, and this is The Last Secret You'll Ever Keep. This is by Lori Ferrara Stellars, and this is Jane Anonymous #2. I really, really enjoyed Jane Anonymous back when it came out at the beginning of 2020, and I am super excited for this one. I do not think it follows the same exact characters, but I think it's set in the same universe, kind of in the same little town. And if it's not set in the same town, then there's some sort of a connection, I believe. The blurb for this one says that this author returns with a thrilling novel where an 18-year-old girl's search for answers lands her in one of the most terrifying situations imaginable. So this is a YA thriller. It does get really dark though, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm currently rereading Jane Anonymous in preparation for this book coming out on March 16th. I'm super excited. And this also has the word last in it, which is another buzzword challenge. Next up, also expected to be out March 16th, is a short story collection called That Way Madness Lies. This is edited by Dahlia Adler with several authors contributing short stories, and this is very reminiscent of the His Hideous Hearts that came out within the last couple of years that was reimagining Edgar Allan Poe stories. This time, though, we're looking at Shakespeare retellings, and we're going to see retellings of The Taming of the Shrew, a Sonnet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Macbeth, Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, etc. So I'm super excited for this. The only thing I would say so far, because I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy and I'm kind of slowly working my way through the stories, is that with the previous edition, His Hideous Heart, we had all of the new stories in the beginning and then all of the original stories in the back, and I loved that. And maybe it was just page prohibitive to do that with all of the plays, but I really wish we could have at least gotten either the plays or like a synopsis, because I haven't read all of the stories they're retelling. Like, I don't think I've read The Merchant of Venice or The Taming of the Shrew, so I would really like at least just a quick synopsis, almost like a Cliff Notes of like the story before I read the retelling. And obviously I can go Google it. I can do that, and I kind of have been, but it would just be nice if it was part of the collection, and maybe it will be by the time the book comes out. I don't know, but the copy that I'm reading doesn't have it, and I was kind of expecting it, so it was a little disappointing, but I am super excited for all of these retellings, and I will report back on how I like this one. Next up is Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson. This is coming out on March 23rd. The blurb on Goodreads says, a bride's dream honeymoon becomes a nightmare when a man with whom she's had a regrettable one-night stand shows up in this electrifying thriller from acclaimed author of 8 Perfect Murders. I also think this is one of the Literally Dead book club picks, if you follow Books and Lala at all, so keep that in mind. Next up is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. The blurb on Goodreads says it's a combination of The Blair Witch Project and Midsummer, so intriguing. I like the cover, and this comes out March 23rd. I'm interested. Also, it has the word lost in the title, so this would be another one that you could use for the buzzword readathon. Next up is a YA murder mystery, which is always a big hit in my library, so I'm always trying to be aware of those. This one's called The Murder Game by Carrie Doyle. The tag on Goodreads says, what if your best friend and roommate killed a teacher at your prep school? Or what if he didn't do it, but he's being framed and you're the only person who can save him? This is out on April 6th. Next up is Kisses and Croissants. This is by Anne-Sophie Joannou, and this is a like Parisian love story. Perfect, it says, for fans of To All the Boys I Loved Before, which that's me. I love that one. So this has a really attractive cover. I'm really excited for just like a cutesy story, so I'm interested in this one. This comes out on April 6th. Next up is kind of a weird nonfiction. I feel like that's always my game. It's called The Madmans Library, The Strangest Books, Manuscripts, and Other Literary Curiosities from History. This was by Edward Brooke Hitching, and the little tag on Goodreads says, this fascinating and bizarre collection compiles the most unusual, obscure books from the far reaches of the human imagination throughout history. I think this is going to be kind of an interesting book, and being a librarian, I'm always interested in books about books, but this one comes out on April 6th. Next up is a historical romance. It's called To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters. I'm not 100% sure if this is part of a series or not, because I didn't read the first one, but the synopsis possibly makes me think it is. They have similar titles, which I think that's why I think that. But anyway, let's talk about the book. Again, called To Love and to Loathe. The synopsis on Goodreads says this author of To Have and to Hoax, which is the other one, the first book, returns with an effervescent, charming, and swoon-worthy novel about a man and a woman who never agree on anything until they agree to a no-strings-attached affair in this Regency-era romp. So this could be fun for Bridgerton fans who have already binge-watched the whole series. This comes out on April 6th. Next up is the third installment in the You series. I really wasn't expecting there to be a third book, so I was surprised by this announcement. But it's called You Love Me. Again, this is the third book in the You series, which you might have read or seen on Netflix by Carolyn Kepnes. And just flipping through the Goodreads synopsis, I'm seeing that he gets a job at a local library, which I'm interested in that. And I think he is living in the Pacific Northwest, which I'm also very excited about. So I know I haven't read the second book because I heard really not so great reviews about it, but now I want to reread the first one and read the second one so that I can read this third one because I just can't get enough of the show. But anyway, this is going to be coming out April 6th. Next up, also out on April 6th, I believe this is a debut novel. I know that this author might have contributed articles or at least short stories to things before, but I think this is her debut novel. She's actually a contributor over at Book Riot. So if you don't follow Book Riot, essentially they're like professional book pushers. I always listen to all their podcasts and I love their articles on their channel. I'll leave their website link down below for more information, but anyway, that was totally all side information. What you need to take away from all that information is that Tiers of Price is coming out with a Jane Austen murder mystery series. Yes, and I am so excited for this. There was actually a different cover that I loved before, and I like this one, but I really like the other one. But this one is pretty, it's growing on me, it's got some vibrant colors, and it all looks like cross-stitch needlework, which is kind of fun. But anyway, this first one is called Pride and Premeditation, coming out strong with the retelling of my favorite book, so I'm super here for it. On Goodreads, it says, perfect for fans of the Lady Janies and the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. The first book in this Jane Austen murder mystery series is a clever retelling of Pride and Prejudice that reimagines the iconic settings, characters, and romances in a thrilling and high-stakes whodunit. So I am here for this series. Like, I'm totally pumped for it. And as I'm scrolling down on Goodreads, I see they've already announced the second and third books. So next year we should be getting the second book called Sense in Second Degree Murder. And then the following year in 2023, we're slated to get Manslaughter Park, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this series. It's going to be so much fun. Next up, on April 13th, we have The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. This best-selling author delivers a deliciously twisty YA thriller that's Scream meets Karen McManus about a mysterious club with an obsession for horror. So yes, I'm not so crazy about this cover, if I'm being honest. I like the hand. It's kind of creepy, but I'm just not crazy about the cover, but I am super excited for this book. I think it will do really well in our high school library. Next up is a YA adaptation of a book I've heard a lot of great things about. It's called Notes from a Young Black Chef. Again, the YA adaptation by Kwame Onwuichi, and this is also featuring Joshua David Stein contributing, and essentially this is just kind of a biography for young adults about a young black chef. I think this will be a really good, interesting book, and I'm super excited. If you're doing the Book Riot Read Harder Challenge, this could work for your person of color food memoir. But I think this will be a fun departure from some of the biographies that are available to young adults these days. A lot of them are about, you know, people that are a lot older than them, possibly already passed, and this is something that's new and fresh and interesting, so I think this could be a really good addition to our library, and I'm excited to read it. I heard great things about the original adult book, and I just haven't had a chance to read it. I'm not huge on food memoirs anyway, so maybe I just haven't been making it a priority, but I am excited for this one, and this comes out April 13th. Next up is a graphic novel biography collection, essentially. It's called Why She Wrote, a graphic history of the lives, inspiration, and influence behind the pens of classic women writers. This is by Lauren Burke, Hannah K. Chapman, Kelsey Bales is illustrating, I believe. And essentially it's just about writers in the English language. So I know we're going to be hearing about Jane Austen and Louisa May Alcott. I've really enjoyed the few graphic biography collections I've read so far. So I'm definitely interested in this one, and this will be coming out April 20th. Next up is The Forest of Stolen Girls. This is by June Herr. The synopsis on Goodreads says, after her father vanishes while investigating the disappearance of 13 young women, a teen returns to her secretive hometown to pick up the trail in this second YA historical mystery from the author of The Silence of Bones. So I'm super excited for this one. I think it's going to be very interesting. I love the idea of like a murder mystery like set in a historical setting, and I heard great things about The Silence of Bones, so I am excited for this one. It's going to be coming out April 20th. Next up, we have Sinkist by Casey West. It could be Cassie West. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, this will be coming out on May 4th, and I've really enjoyed all of her contemporary books that I've read so far. I've read quite a few, and I will say this one is kind of a departure cover-wise. Normally you get like the two characters on the cover, but you just never see their faces. This one is a fully illustrated cover, so that is a little bit of a departure. But anyway, it's coming out May 4th. The synopsis on Goodreads says, a lighthearted and swoony contemporary YA romance by fan favorite author Cassie West about a girl who finds that a summer spent at a family resort isn't as bad as she imagined, and that falling in love is filled with heartache, laughter, and surprises. Then next up is another like YA contemporary romance, and it's got a cute illustrated cover. It's called May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Eller. And the blurb on Goodreads says, a trans boy enters a throwdown battle for the title of homecoming king with a boy he dumped last summer in Z.R. Eller's contemporary YA debut. So this is another debut, and this is coming out on May 18th. Next up is Last Chance Books. Again, notice the word last in the title here. This is by Kelsey Rodkey, and this is a contemporary romance set with it, like, it's like a hate to love between two dueling bookstore owners, I think. And of course, being a romance, you know what's going to happen, but I like that idea that it's two competing bookstore owners. That just grabbed me right away. And this will be out May 18th. I don't know if this is YA or not. I think it might be. Let's scroll down here and check. It says YA, so maybe they don't own the bookstore. Maybe they just work there. Maybe it's their family bookstores. Maybe I misunderstood. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't care who owns the bookstores. I just want to read about people who own bookstores, work in bookstores, that hate each other, and slowly fall in love. Next up is another like cutesy YA romance. This is historical fiction, Regency era-ish, and basically the main reason I want to read it is that the pun of the title is just something I couldn't resist. It's called 16 Scandals by Sophie Jordan, and that's pretty much all I needed to hear. This is coming out May 25th, and again, it's kind of Regency era. They're marketing it for fans of, they're marketing it for perfect for fans for My Lady Jane. 5th. And the last book I have to talk about today is coming out also May 25th, and it's called Tokyo Ever After by Amiko Jean. This says Crazy Rich Asians meets The Princess Diaries in this irresistible story about Azumi, a Japanese-American girl who discovers her senior year of high school that she's really a princess of Japan. So yes, that sounds adorable, it sounds cute, and this cover is beautiful, so I'm super excited. So there you have some of my most anticipated releases for the spring season. Let me know down below which of these you are adding to your TBR, which you're excited for, and any that I didn't mention that you're also excited for. Let's talk books down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in another video soon. Bye for now.